Hello and welcome to our coaching video for the month of June. I have some really great materials to share with you, and before we get started, I want to just encourage you to go ahead and download the resource sheet that's attached to this video. You'll find the link in your email, and have that handy so that you can take some notes and you can probably jot down some takeaways that really impact you. But also, we're going to go through some of the questions that are a part of the worksheet. So today is all about reputation management. And this is a really hot button issue because reputation management has become a business. There are actually companies out there that you can pay to boost your reputation online, meaning they go out and solicit positive feedback, positive reviews, and boost them up on your Yelp page, on your Google profile, even on Facebook for that matter. And then they kind of squash down some of the other reviews that aren't so pleasant. Now, I'm sure none of you have any negative reviews online, but every one of us can relate to that customer that's just really super hard to please. And so that being said, reputation management is a really critical component to your business. People need to know you, they need to like you, and they need to be able to trust you in order to do business with you. And that may sound really crazy and that may sound totally foreign when we're talking about an online world, but even online, people need to know who you are, they need to know what you're about, and that they can trust you in that. So we're going to talk about 7 ways to get people to believe you, to believe in you, to like you, and to respect you. And this is so cool because these kinds of traits and these kinds of characteristics are not new. You know, one of the things that I think that we fall into is believing that now that we've got all of this technology, and now that the world is nothing but Facebook Live videos, YouTube how-tos, and blogs, and apps, and all this tech stuff, those are all really great tools and techniques to build a business, to create a platform, and to sell a product. But the time-tested and true principles never expire. And sometimes I think in business we can sort of forget what those are and race past them in order to become more tech savvy, or build the better website, or launch the most important e-commerce platform for our product. But let's not forget the things that never run dry. And these 7 things are things that never expire. So I want to challenge you as we go through these to think about how you utilize these 7 principles to build your business. And what do you do as a business owner with these 7 principles? So they're going to seem sort of expected, let's say. There's no major revelation here. These are all things that your parents probably taught you when you were growing up. But again, this is something I think we forget in business, and I want you to think about these 7 things inside of your business. Well, what does it look like when it comes to what you do with your business? The first thing is to be honest. Well, duh, right? We all want to work with someone who is honest when it comes to their product, to their services, to their pricing, and to the thing that they do in business. We all could tell stories about the cheesy car salesman, or the high pressure window salesman, or name any other sales profession for that matter, that promised you the moon and the earth and didn't deliver at all. We know what it's like to deal with people who are not honest in business, people who don't deliver when they're supposed to, people who don't honor their return policies, people who don't stand behind their product. Honesty is best, and it is important when it comes to business. Unfortunately, there's so many frauds and scandals that just become commonplace in business. And it doesn't really have to be. Your credibility is rooted in your ability to be upfront and to be honest, no matter what the situation may be. And almost I think that it requires us to be a little transparent even, and be real. You know, when a customer calls and they're upset about something, or there's an issue with an order, they don't need some canned corporate answer. They need to talk to a real person that has real answers and real solutions. And sometimes that means that you need to deliver an honest response to their concern. So here's some of the temptations that pop up, because I know all of you are listening to this thinking, well, I am honest. Well, of course you are, because you're women of high class, and high class women don't lie. But here's some of the things that can kind of creep in and sort of blur the lines between honesty and dishonesty. So maybe you're tempted to lie or misrepresent yourself about a product's due date, the sort of overpromise, underdeliver thing that happens. Maybe you promise to meet a particular deadline for a client and you're not able to do it. And you may even know good and well when you give the deadline that push come to shove, you're really not going to be able to make that deadline. Then the honesty part really comes into the picture when you have to report that you're missing the deadline with that client. And what kind of story do you give them? What kind of excuse do you offer? Or are you just straight up honest and say you fell behind and you didn't get it done? It is important that even when you're admitting a mistake, even when you're admitting that you dropped the ball, that you are honest and upfront and totally true about the scenario. Excuses, passing the buck, skirting the issue, those are all ways that business owners can be dishonest. And it's never pleasant and it's not attractive no matter how you do it. Even small fibs can damage your credibility and your reputation. And the bad thing is even though we're in a online community and the majority of us live, work, and play online, even online, as big and vast as it is still a tight-knit community. It doesn't take a whole lot of negative reviews for someone to kind of stray away from your product because they don't trust you because of that dishonesty situation. So whether someone's posting a review on you online or whether it's just in your daily dealings, you want your reputation to be solid and your credibility to be good. Second thing is to keep your word. And this kind of goes back to the whole honesty thing. Professional reputation is damaged when you don't deliver as promised. Every time you make a commitment and you have the opportunity to meet a deadline, you can either raise expectations or lower expectations. You raise your credibility or you damage your credibility, depending on if you're able to actually deliver. Your word is all that you have in business. Yes, you may have a great website. Yes, you may have a great product. You may stand behind a great company representing them with an amazing product, but guess what? Your word is still what counts. Even if you're working in a multi-level marketing business or direct sell business, you may have the most popular brand out there, but guess what? You're not the only one who's doing it. So if your credibility starts to slip, they'll just go find a different distributor, representative, consultant, whichever your title may be. And if it is your business, it doesn't matter. Your word is what stands. That although you can blame employees, you can blame service providers and vendors, ultimately it is your word that makes or breaks. So be straightforward and be upfront. Let everyone involved know what they can expect from you before they get involved with you. And part of that means creating really specific instructions on how you do business. And it's not just how you do business so that you communicate with them, but it's how you do business so you know what standard you're operating by. What's the turnaround time for fulfilling orders? How do you handle returns? What do you do about shipping when you have a return? What if someone isn't satisfied? Do you offer a guarantee? What's the timeline you're going to allow for a return? What if someone doesn't get the results that they're looking for? What if someone refers somebody to you? Do you have a policy for referrals? Do you have an expectation you can set that if people are happy, that they refer you and there's some sort of a bonus for them? So all of these expectations need to be thought about and they need to be written down. And I would even encourage you to publish them either on your website or in some sort of insert into your mailing or into your product packages so that clients know what your role is and what you have to offer and what kind of rules you've set in place. And policies and procedures really make or break a business. And it's important that those policies and procedures are done ahead of time and decided ahead of time so you know how to keep your word. No one likes surprises. So if you can't complete a task or you're not able to fulfill the policies and procedures that you've put in place, you need to be honest, keep your word, and really try to offer the most transparent response that you can. The third thing is to admit your mistakes. No one likes admitting that they screwed up. It is awful, especially if you're an approval seeker like myself or you're a people pleaser and you're a perfectionist. That's a toxic combination. But all of that means that failure is inevitable even for the perfect person who tries to reach perfection. It just doesn't happen. It's inevitable in your business. And it's super important that no matter what you're doing, that when you make a mistake, you're just upfront and you tell the person, yes, I made a mistake. Here's what I'm going to do to correct it. Successful managers and entrepreneurs understand how important it is to focus on solutions rather than obsess over the problems. So, to maintain a great reputation as someone who addresses problems, who's reliable and trustworthy, that owns up to their mistakes, you've got to take that ownership right away. Don't wait. If you spot the problem or mistake before the client does, don't wait for them to find it. Don't hope that they just kind of overlook it. Don't sweep it under the rug. Deal with it right away and be upfront about it. Don't attempt to cover it up or ignore it. Instead, always try to take responsibility and find a solution. And better yet, learn from that mistake so you don't make it again. The fourth thing is to be punctual. Man, oh man, does this irritate me when it comes to business. How many of you have visited a physician's office and sat in the waiting room for 20 minutes after your appointment or even longer, only to be taken back to the exam room where you wait another 10 or 15 minutes before your appointment starts? You've wasted 30, 45 minutes, sometimes even an hour waiting to see the doctor, and that punctuality component can be frustrating. Clients will evaluate you partially on your dependability. So you need to show up when you say you're showing up on time, and then you also need to deliver when you say you're going to deliver on time. Most people will choose to work with someone who consistently delivers projects on time and on budget over someone who blows all of that out. They may be really talented, but if they're not reliable, people will move on. So consistency, reliability, punctuality, all of that's important. You need to learn how to manage your time carefully to make sure that you don't miss a meeting, that you don't miss a deadline, that you don't blow past a commitment. So there are lots of really great tools in place to help you do that, whether it's an app on your phone, whether it's calendar apps, reminders, notes. Create a system for yourself that utilizes whatever works for you, and know how you handle return phone calls, deadlines that you're trying to meet, meetings that you have to attend to. There's a process involved in each one of those things. As you schedule those, as you commit to those, and then be good about responding to those. When meeting with clients, arrive early. There's a novel idea. Instead of giving yourself time to work up until the exact time you have to leave to go to the meeting, stop early. Give yourself a buffer for travel and account for traffic delays or weather craziness or difficulty when it comes to finding a parking space. If you arrive with plenty of time in your pocket, you can have a minute to catch your breath, reapply your makeup, hop into the bathroom, gain your composure, take a breath, get ready to put your head into that meeting. So that punctuality component is an old standard, but it really does mean a lot. And the other thing that says to the person that you're meeting with, especially when it's a meeting, is that they are important enough to you for you to be on time. When you're late and you don't get there on time, or you are running behind, or you make them wait, you sort of communicate that they're not that important. And we know that that's not a case. And sometimes things happen, right, I get it. But that's when you go back to the other things, to keep your word, to be honest, to be upfront. But do what you need to do to set processes in place so that you can avoid being late or missing deadlines. Number 5, when it comes to 7 principles that make you good in business, or that bump up your reputation and increase your credibility in business, number 5 is to not use foul language. Now, I know this sounds like, really? But what you say and how you say it has a deep, deep, deep impact on how others see you in business. And whether it's foul language or crude jokes, or whether you're just really negative, the public can sense that, and the message can be immature, it can seem impatient, it can seem like you lack self-control. Just swearing in general in a professional setting is completely unprofessional. It never commands respect. It never makes you look like you're more edgier than you should be. It will isolate you, it will alienate you, and it will make you appear very infantile in the business community. So don't let coworkers, customers, and clients get away with it either. Command respect by being an expert, by being ethical and by being transparent. And if you find yourself angry or upset, if you're going to lose your temper and possibly blow and spout out some things you shouldn't say, excuse yourself, walk away, turn off the phone, whatever. No one else needs to witness that. Number 6 is to handle conflict gracefully. Never ever in business do you get away from conflict. There's always going to be conflict with a client, with a customer, with a vendor, with other employees, with other women that you may network with. Conflict just exists. There's going to be times when you don't agree with everybody. There's going to be times where you don't see eye to eye. The potential for arguments and disagreements in business is huge, and it is just the reality of the business. It's reality of the world that we live in. But how you handle that really showcases your character and your class. And so if a client tests your patience or questions your authority or really starts to push your buttons, don't allow the situation to ruffle your feathers. Don't let them see you sweat. Don't lose your stuff all over them. Try to keep your composure. Try not to react with anger or meet their frustration by having the same frustration. Try to dissolve the situation. Try to offer solutions. Try to really listen and put yourself in their situation and offer yourself gracefully to them. One of the things that I've learned in my own personal experience is that 9 times out of 10, when someone's pitching a fit or upset about something, mostly they want to be heard. What will aggravate the situation faster is for you to rush to assume that you understand how they feel, to offer a solution, to throw money at it. A lot of times it's not even what they're wanting. They really want you to understand things from their perspective. So try to take a step into their shoes and see things from their perspective. You never know. You may learn something really valuable that can help you actually change your product or better your marketing or better your service so that not only do you not have another angry customer again, but that you're able to offer something better. You know, the feedback that you get from potential customers and clients is the best market research out there. So listen to what they have to say. Just because they see it differently or don't agree with you doesn't mean that they're wrong. Remember, this is your buying audience that's responding. So take to heart what it is that they have to say and ask yourself, do we need to make a change based on the reaction of this particular customer or client? Number 7, our last tip is to not to burn bridges. Avoid burning bridges. You know, sometimes the networking part of business is the most valuable resource out there. And when we start damaging relationships and burning bridges to where we can't walk back into that room, or we hope to not run into someone in the grocery store, we've lost our credibility and we've lost a valuable relationship that you never know might come back to be a benefit to you had you maintained that better. I know so many women that I still work with today that I met years and years and years ago. And the dynamic of our relationship may have changed based on what they're doing, based on what I'm doing. We may be more colleagues now than we were client and coach. We might be friends now. We might actually be coworkers. I mean, hello, the world isn't that big. But in all of those relationships, I feel like the majority of them, I can hold my head high, meet and greet anybody that I used to work with, and feel good about how that relationship ended. So even if you're getting laid off from a job, even if there's a bad employee or bad client situation and you're getting rid of them, do it with respect for them and for yourself. Do it in a way that's going to preserve the relationship and not just totally burn the bridge, because you never know when they'll come back again and be possibly a valuable piece to the puzzle for you. Just remember that relationships change and people can surprise you. They may change, they may grow, their situation may be different. So the person that you once took for granted could very well be someone that turns out to be a valuable asset in the future. So with these 7 things, again, 7 things that you probably already knew, 7 things that you're actually probably already doing, but I want to turn up the volume on how this impacts your business and what it means for your business. Like I said, these are things that are time tested and super true, even so many millions of years later. One of my favorite business people to listen to is a gentleman by the name of Brian Buffini, and he says the 10 Commandments are the best philosophies that have stood the test of time. in Moses' day, way back, way back, way back in the Bible, it was a bad idea then to kill your neighbor. It's still a bad idea today. So those kinds of principles and those kinds of truths just never die. And so, we need to make sure that we put all of the good stuff into our business as well as the new stuff into our business, and really think about how these 7 principles impact who we are as businesswomen, impact the type of business that we're building, and how is it impacting other businesses that are watching us, that are growing alongside of us, and that may interact with us. So with that being said, look at those 7 tips and tricks, look at those principles, and really give yourself a heart-to-heart evaluation on where you land on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not so good, 10 being the best. How do you land on a scale of 1 to 10 for each of these 7 principles, especially when it comes to your business?